Hello, and welcome back to another Cabincast Ramble with Oliver and Tan.
Hello.
We are here to discuss more of Steven Universe Season 2, starting with episode 21 of Season 2, which is episode 74 in total. Too Far.
Indeed.
Mhm.
Last time we did Back to the Barn, which is kind of like it is set pretty much right before Too Far.
Which is
In
why it's
which-
interesting that Sadie's song was actually meant to be 73.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Back to the Barn is
Ah.
72 and Too Far is 74. But they switched that around
Wow.
a bit, which kind of makes sense because of how the structure that we were talking about, with how they do like a little bit with each character kind of goes. But yeah,
Yes.
back to what you were saying about last time.
Also, Stephen probably wouldn't go to the Big Donut while they're in the barn. That might be
Yeah,
difficult.
you know, it's a bit long of a walk. It's true.
Yeah. Last time, Peridot was confronted about a
Mhm.
preconceived biases against the nature of pearls in the system of
Mhm.
the Earth and gems.
Yeah, and that's gonna continue today, but in a different sense.
Yeah. It's sort of like, whereas last time it was about pearl, this time it's about amethyst. And
And while
slightly
last time
garnet,
it was
but that comes later.
true. And whilst last time it was about a preconceived notion, this time it's less that and more understanding people. Or trying to, because people are complicated.
Yeah, there's a little bit of preconceived
A
biases,
little bit in
but
it, but it's less so than.
interesting. It's
Mhm.
different here because Amethyst was never on Homeworld.
Yeah. So yeah, we start with Peridot and her voice recorder, which we'll come back
Yeah,
to later.
that's a nice sort of like that. That's always a good way for us to get Peridot's perspective, even though the main show is from Stevens.
Mm-hmm. Though I do like how she starts with her like log date and everything, and is already doing kind of little flourishes with her hands and stuff. Like a crystal
Yeah.
gem already, just kind of without even realizing. But yeah, they've done a few days of work with a
They have
collaboration,
indeed.
as she calls it, and it seems to be going okay, which is good. And
Yeah,
yeah,
they've given her the tape recorder. It's
Mhm.
Peridot mostly uses it for recording logs. Sometimes uses it to say the word clod and repeat it back.
Mhm. And yeah, she uses it to repeat stuff, and yeah, give us information about what she's thinking. Um, make jokes at the show's expense, talking about the singing and the crying, and the singing while crying. And then to just play Clod on repeat excessively.
Indeed. The next bit is Peridot kindly requests
Mhm.
that Garnet unfuse because it's uncomfortable to her, which is which Garnet responds by tying her to a fence,
Yeah,
which is fair
fun.
enough.
It's like it's a step in the
Peridot
right
doesn't really
direction
understand.
because she at least asked politely, but she's still not quite there yet. Is that not being the point?
I guess so, but also sometimes bigotry can be under a veneer of politeness.
This is true. This is very true.
Although I'm sure Peridot isn't intending to be mean. Doesn't really understand Garnet.
I mean, yeah,
Doesn't
that's
understand her until the
log
a
date.
little bit later. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some people can be polite, but very intentionally being unpolite with what they're saying, and some people don't realize. And it's unfortunate either way. And Peridot got tied to a fence in this situation because she was making Garnet uncomfortable, which has made her job a bit more difficult to do.
It has. She's not exactly able to reach most of the things that she needs.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of making it harder for Pearl to do her job because Amethyst and Steven don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. As we've seen, where Stephen and Amethyst don't really know what tungsten is.
Yeah.
Which I can't believe. Who doesn't know what tungsten is?
Which, I mean, I know what tungsten is. Could I find it in a yard full of different types of metal?
Obviously.
I know that I could. But I'm glad that you could. It's good to know.
Tungsten is a very high melting point, so you just set everything on fire.
Well, we figured it out. And that's probably why they want it, because drilling.
Drilling. Hot,
Yeah. So they go over to see what Peridot is doing, and she is saying that she requires a leverage optimizer.
Yeah. And the others confused at this, and this happens a good few times, where Peridot refers to something as something weird, and the others are like, "Whoa." Pretty crazy. But it makes, a leverage optimizer.
Makes perfect sense.
Normally I'd say it would be like a spanner, but in this case it's a screwdriver.
Spanner, screwdriver, crowbar. She's just Americanizing how she's describing things.
Americanizing? Oh, right, in like the sort of sidewalk way.
Sidewalk, trash can.
Or it's like describing what it is.
Describes what it is. Yeah. Still works, so you know. No offense, not meant an offense to any Americans out there who might be listening, but
Only meant
you know what we mean.
in offense to Webster.
Yes.
This post was made by Oxford English Dictionary gang. All my homies hate Webster.
But yeah, they need a drill. Peridot has an idea. Get Jill from kindergarten, bring back. To which Garnet says she's not going there without a chaperone. So Amethyst goes with her.
Yeah. Presumably Garnet used her future vision to see that things become better or something. I don't know. Peridot learns something, and she's like, I will leave the two gremlins alone. Good plan.
Yep. Pretty
There's
much.
no other explanation for it.
Yeah. So they go. Steven seems to be attempting to break a drill somehow, though it's not really very effective, and Peridot is talking about the drills and how the new ones are better. And Amethyst continues her teasing, calling her a nerd, which Peridot does not know what it means.
It doesn't. Peridot is mostly talking to the tape recorder here.
Mm-hmm.
And the others are just sort of there with
Yep.
her. And Amethyst's sort of goading her on a bit. And Steven's like, hold on, well, I don't really know what's going on, and I'm not sure if it's a good idea.
Yep.
And we get the first little I don't even, because like we had Amethyst teasing Peridot from the start. It's sort of like foreshadowing perhaps, but we can't blame everything on Peridot here. Because Amethyst is goading her on, at least in this bit, where Amethyst asks what Peridot thinks about Garnet. And she sort of goes through like
Yeah.
We get that idea that fusions are just there to fight.
Yeah.
And Garnet, well, isn't just there to fight. Garnet's just sort of like...
It's very clever
existing.
how it does it again, because, like, you know, Peridot clearly finds it very funny, and she's like, I could call her two things, two clods, pretending to be one clod. And then Steven asks why there's an issue with that, and she's like, well, because they're not and it's often how, like, you'll find with people who, you know, make jokes that aren't necessarily in the best taste, and if you actually try to get them to elaborate their point, things very quickly break down.
Yeah, there's no logical reason for it. It's just sort of like anecdotal, I guess. It's like, well, I've not seen a fusion that's not for fighting or for example.
So why would there be one? That does not fit with what I know. But it's like, well, I guess. But yeah, Amethyst then asks her to make fun of Steven, which she does. Pretty accurate.
Yeah. Though I have to say that like when Peridot's talking about like Garnet and Steven, like she's like you know, she's like saying, "Oh, Peridot, you're really cool," and stuff.
Yeah.
You know? Like saying that's it's like it's a good thing that you're saying bad things about your friends. And so for Peridot, maybe the next logical step is to talk about Amethyst.
Yeah. And she explains how she thinks she's got to listen to them. But carry on.
No, I was gonna say the same thing.
The same thing.
Indeed, because like Steven saying like Steven's a weird hybrid who has to eat. Well, hey, that's very, very funny. And Steven's like not comfortable with that.
Yeah, move on,
and
please.
Then Peridot
Thank
turns
you.
to Amethyst.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she's like, you didn't need to listen to them. Pearl's a pearl. Garnet's a fusion. Goodness knows what he is. You're the only gem that's like an actual gem, which again comes back to ridiculous opinions we have in our world about like race and things. It's like, well, you're the only one who's the better one, but everyone else is also the same thing. But that doesn't apply in this situation for some reason. Complete lack of logic, because obviously a pearl is still a gem, and garnet is still 2 gems. So Paradox saying that amethyst is the only one who's actually a gem. Again, it's like, well, no, they're all gems, but okay. But she elaborates a
I mean,
bit.
I'm not a geologist. I'm no rock scientist.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Are pearls actually classed as gems? Because they're formed in like oysters or whatever, right? I
You
don't
know
know.
what? You know what?
Clams?
That's a very good point.
I have no idea.
Me neither. But like,
But then pebbles are called gems, so I'm
true.
sure it's just a colloquial name.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point though.
They're
I
all
had not
gems.
thought about that. Yeah. But yeah, she continues to elaborate and being like, you're, you're an amethyst. You outrank everyone. You're just defective.
Yeah,
And again,
and that's when
she's pointed
Amethyst is
out
like, what?
she's pointed out everyone else's flaws, and that's been hilarious. So, logical progression. Do that to the person who finds it really funny.
Yeah. Peridot presumably is enjoying hearing and seeing Amethyst laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And she's figured out that when she says things, it makes
Mm-hmm.
Amethyst happy and laugh. And she's like, ooh, what if I try to compliment Amethyst by giving her a backhanded compliment? It's
Mm-hmm.
basically, it's like, it's kind of patronizing in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're good despite the fact that you're defective, quote
Yeah.
unquote. But it's like that's like going to someone in a wheelchair and it's like, wow, you're good at basketball despite the fact you're in a wheelchair. It's like, no, that's part. It's like it's all a whole, you know.
Mm.
It's sort of like it's rude.
Yeah. I feel like we've slightly lost
And I
path
don't know if any of the
comparison in that
stuff,
analogy, but
ideas got through.
yeah,
Yeah,
I got what you were
wheelchair
going for.
basketball
Yeah.
probably was wrong analogy.
I'm trying to think of it, and I'm like, I don't know how we perfectly equate this without thinking about it for longer than is gonna be necessary in this. But yeah. Again, she's
Perhaps.
just following up with what she did with the others. And being like, oh, it's funny that you think you have to listen to them because you outrank them, even if, you are defective. Because again, she is pointing out the strange things about Steven and the fact that Garnet's a permafusion, which is strange, and that Pearl's a Pearl. And like she does respect Pearl at this point, but she's not her friend yet.
Not yet, no.
And so then she's like, "Oh, this is probably the hole you came out of, right? It's about 500 years too late. It's too small. It's too low to the ground. It doesn't go deep enough. You don't even know what you're supposed to look like." And Stephen, master of sensing when things are potentially not going the right way as of this second, because that rarely happens, um, is like, maybe stop, Peridot. But Amethyst wishes for her to continue.
Yeah.
And she explains that you should be twice the size, but you stayed in the ground too long and you became smaller. and Amethyst having issues with her self-image and self-worth anyway. This is probably not what she wanted to hear.
Yeah,
Which
you
unfortunately
see a
is
paradox.
not what Peridot's going on at the moment.
It's not
Peridot's
great.
going on that it was funny that everyone else, you found it funny when, I joked about the flaws of everyone else. You should find it funny when I joke about the flaws of you as well. No one else has got super angry about it with me. Why would you? Which is a thing I found with people quite a lot of the time. It's very fine for them to mess about with other people, but as soon as they get messed with, nope, that's not okay.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I want to
but yeah.
quickly point out before we get into this, because I'm sensing a tangent, a potential tangent.
Ooh.
The paradox says you can do everything a normal quartz can do. Is like
Ah,
it's super patronizing.
yes, that's very true. That's very true.
But yeah, it is like you said, it is analogous to that sort of style of humor where you insult other people, and then
Hmm.
it's like it's okay until the gun is pointed at you per se.
Yeah, it's like you've got people who do self-deprecating humor because they aren't comfortable with their self-image, and that's an easier way to feel more okay about it is to laugh about it yourself with other people. And I'm not sure whatever you'd call it, but
Which has
the
its own
opposite,
problems.
yeah, which has its own problems, 100%. And then the flip side being where
Well,
it's
I'd
other
say
people,
don't do self-deprecating humor, but that is not part of this. That
yes,
is not related.
no, this is the one where
And there comes my
hey,
phone call.
there's the phone call. I'll ramble for a bit and it'll
Quickly
be
talk.
fine. So, and then this where it's like, you know, laughing at the expense of others, making jokes at their expense, not in a necessarily malicious way. Like Amethyst isn't malicious in how she jokes about Peridot or Stephen or Amethyst or anyone, but that's how she does it. She cracks joke a lot. Him cracks jokes a lot to kind of disguise her pain and stuff. And yeah, again, Peridot doesn't really understand that what she said has upset Amethyst because based on the small pool of information that she's working with, it was funny when she did it to everyone else. It should be funny when she does it to Amethyst too. Uh, and she's like, "Hey, soldier, could you cut the head off this drill?" Which she does immediately. And Peridot's like, "See, you can do anything a normal quartz can do." Uh, which, yeah, like Dan said, is a bit patronizing. Again, unfortunately for Peridot, who did not realize this because she's still going about as normal. Yeah, she didn't click with that, but
Very badly timed phone call. Uh,
Mm. I just caught us up
I've been
to
expecting that one all day.
indeed. We knew it was coming, and then it did. Um, but yeah,
Which bit did
uh,
you get up to?
Stephen asking Amethyst if she is okay, and
Oh
Amethyst
yeah,
lying.
Amethyst. Well, there's that, but also Amethyst has a track record of not wanting to Stephen to like get involved in her own struggles too much.
Also true. Yes.
Whether that's because she's sort of a bottle up of emotions, sort of reserved kind of person, or she doesn't think Stephen is mentally ready to take on her problems yet. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of her more because yeah, we had that episode a while back where she's like, I don't want to pile my problems on top of everyone else's problems because you're already dealing with so much anyway. Which is like
Yeah,
very, very grown up, but is also still not healthy for you.
yeah.
Um
I mean, it helps Steven, but at the same time, it doesn't help Amethyst.
Exactly.
So who knows what the correct way to deal with it is? I don't know.
But yeah, then we cut back to the barn, and Pearl is very happy with the duel.
Indeed. And Peridot wants to impress Amethyst still, and says like, "Look at this rhythmatic pulverizer! Ah, that's funny. I'm so funny."
Yeah. Which does not get a response out of Amethyst.
Not this time.
And Peridot's like, that doesn't track.
Yeah. From causal relations, this is not the same as what it was.
Yeah, why? What's happened here? And Steven's like, well, you kind of hurt her feelings a bit.
Yeah, Steven's right there to be the helping hand.
Yeah.
Like the sort of emotional translator for Peridot, I guess.
Yeah, and she's like, I wasn't being mean. I was being cool. I'm sure she loved it, and it was great. She's probably telling all them about how cool I am.
Exactly. And she like waves to Amethyst from
like
across the
yeah.
like a sort of year fives go would do to someone at the other end of the lunch hall, like, hey,
Yeah.
hey, over here. Me. It's me. But Amethyst just ignores her.
Yeah,
which makes like, Peridot feel small.
Makes her feel small, and Steven's like, you feel bad. That's how you made her feel. Which is, yeah, true. It is one of those things where I'm like, I have limited sympathy for Amethyst because, again, of my own personal experiences with people who make those kind of jokes.
Oh yeah.
And as soon as it's put back on them, they get really upset about it, and it's just incredibly frustrating.
I won't ask for the hot goss on air.
Yeah, we won't go there, but no, it's just sometimes, yeah, it's just like
I get what you mean, though. Yeah,
it's like, yeah, but again, it's like it's how Amethyst copes with stuff, and we've had like we've said before, plenty of episodes where she's struggled with dealing with the fact that she's not more like Pearl, or that she thinks that the other gems kind of partly blame her for the Earth because she was made here and stuff
yeah.
that.
And on the run.
Yeah, and she's not done with that. Unfortunately, we'll get a lot more of that stuff down the line.
It's interesting. I like the smaller and bigger analogy, because not only is it like presumably Peridot doesn't have the language to understand sort of emotional health and well-being and stuff, because on the gem homeworld and stuff they didn't really care about that. They didn't have language for it.
No.
And so the metaphor is that you feel small when you feel hurt, when you feel bad. And so it's good, like, it's good for as world building, but also it's good for anyone who wants to understand, like a small young child who's watching.
Indeed. And yet Steven tries to explain, and Peridot has the kind of immediate knee-jerk reaction to it. Of being like, well, who cares how she feels? Who cares how any of you feel? Ree. And then Pearl's like, oh well, she's having another tantrum. I'm surprised you guys made it back in one piece. Which
Amethyst does the most unsubtle yeah I've ever heard.
Really, really is. And yeah, we move on. And Peridot is trying to fix things, and Stephen is asking if everything is okay. And Peridot says everything is fine. Which means everything is not fine.
And then presses a button, which makes things
really not fine.
Bad.
Yeah. The drill activates.
Indeed. But because it's not connected to any of the clonks, the clonky bits, it just goes all over the place.
It goes up, but Steven jumps on it.
Exactly.
And then Amethyst is almost in the way. But luckily, Peridot manages to push her out of the way. And then Steven stops the drill.
Breaking her own leash.
Yeah, she broke her own leash.
Stuck on a rock.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's something symbolic there, but who knows?
Maybe.
But yeah, Steven just takes the entire panel out.
Yep. Just pulls it off. Love it's like, it's okay, everything's okay. It was just a drill. That's pretty dangerous, Steven.
It was just a drill. Yeah. Peridot and Amethyst have kind of animated it.
Mm-hmm.
In which it's like, oh no, I'm gonna be late for my first day of school, holding a toast in her mouth. And it's like, oh no, I've fallen into I've landed on top of them. Oh no, this is such a terrible coincidence. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yep.
You know, had to subject you to that one. I'm sorry.
That's all right. But yeah. We move on. Garnet blames cows for everything that's gone wrong. She seems to have a thing against cows in this episode. And then Peridot tries to apologize to Amethyst. But Amethyst is still being very grumpy. But she recorded it so that she doesn't have to say it to her face, but she can still play the recording to her face.
Yes.
Which is a good way of doing it.
It is.
Which she just says, all the crystal gems are defective, and also I'm defective.
So really, we're all the same.
We're all the same.
Which
is what she was saying anyway, really, in the first place. Amethyst just took it very personally when she did it because it was directed at her, and that's how Amethyst reacts to those kind of things, very negatively.
I guess so. It's sort of like, putting them all on a sort of even playing field.
Yeah. Because it's like when she said, "Oh, Steven's some kind of strange hybrid, and Pearl's a pearl, and Garnet's a permafusion, and you're an amethyst, but you're too small." Like she wasn't saying, "Oh, they're all fine, but you're the problem." She was, again, like we said before, she was just making fun of Amethyst the same way she was making fun and poking fun at the rest of them.
Yeah, she was originally sort of saying, Amethyst, you're cool despite your flaws. And now she's more like, you're just cool.
She just had to recontextualize it so that
Yeah.
yeah. Um
Didn't have to go through all of this defective stuff. It's just like, I guess we're all a bit defective here, and that's okay.
yeah, and she apologizes and
Indeed.
says, she's still learning and she wants to learn,
She actually wants to learn and be better
which is good.
because she doesn't want to feel small like that.
No, she does not.
And presumably she doesn't want other people to feel small like that.
Mm-hmm.
Empathy has begun.
Empathy has
Maybe.
begun. And
Maybe,
now
just maybe.
Amethyst feels better.
Slightly better.
And says, thanks, but you're still a nerd. Like, yep, and we're right back to that's right, we're right back where we started.
It's nerd lovingly though, It's like, you nerd. Rather than, you nerd. You're
Just the
such a
kind of thing
nerd.
in my head, it's like, but you're still a nerd. And then Paradox said, and you're still defective. And she's like, I can't believe you'd say that. You ruined everything again. It's like, oh. I jest, of course. But then, yeah, Steven's like, how do you feel now? Big.
Rig.
The end. Cut to black, no star.
Cut to black, no star. Indeed.
And that's too
Should have had a
far.
counter for those, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were this prevalent.
Indeed.
But they are pretty prevalent. Yeah.
Did not realize, but yeah, indeed. This is an episode which is good, but I also don't watch it that often.
It's again because of my issues with what Amethyst does. It's not one of my favorites, but it is good.
Yeah,
If I put that to the wayside, I can appreciate it for what message it is trying to give.
It's a good episode, but it's not necessarily one I'd enjoy watching that much.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is okay. Not every episode needs to be.
Not every episode needs to be perfect. I'm like, yeah. It's got Peridot in, who's my favorite character, as I said, so, I do like that. Amethyst is, thinking about it, probably one of, if not the gem who gets on my nerves the most.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think of the main, like, out of Peridot, no, that's not right, out of Pearl, Garnet, and Amethyst, it's definitely the case, because that kind of humor doesn't sit well with me quite a lot.
That's fair.
That's probably why, but I mean, only very occasionally I still really like her character for the most part. But the next episode, which we're gonna jump onto very quickly.
Sure.
Because we might even have to still split it up to next week.
No way.
Because this is a very important one.
This is an important one. Indeed,
So
the answer.
That it was nominated for an Emmy Award for Outstanding Short Form Animation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so pretty big episode. And this one is Garnet telling Steven the story of how Ruby and Sapphire first met and joined the Crystal Gems.
Exactly.
At the start.
Very big. So Garnet wakes Steven up at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course.
Why wouldn't she?
And originally they were gonna reveal that Garnet was a fusion on his birthday, but yeah, unfortunately, due to previous circumstances, that didn't quite come to pass.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Also, he's just sleeping in a barn.
Yes. Just as you do.
All warm and stuff at night still, I guess, because it's an open barn. He's just got like a single blanket, so
I'm glad he managed to stay warm.
Yeah.
Sleeping in a. Yeah, probably not got much double glazing.
Don't think there's any double glazing.
Yeah. And also the fact that it's a barn.
Mm-hmm.
The Insulate Beach City protesters are blocking the roads as we speak.
Oh boy.
Ah, fun times.
Fun times indeed. But yeah, the story begins.
The story does begin.
And it is Star Wars Episode 1.
The Phantom Menace.
A group
Except
of diplomatic gems have been sent to Earth to discuss. Yeah, that's where the comparison starts and ends. But yeah, they came on the Sky Arena. It looks like, or a very similar one.
Yeah, it looks pretty similar. Don't know if it's the same one. And you've got there's some rebels on Earth.
There are.
Almost 6,000 years ago.
Yep. Quite a long time ago.
And those rebels, we'll find out exactly who they are
We shall.
down the line.
Yeah, so
But
first we meet Ruby and Sapphire, and Ruby
Yeah.
and Ruby.
they've brought a Sapphire down to Earth to see what will happen
Yep,
with
she
it.
is
Because
a rare aristocratic gem.
indeed, don't see a whole lot of sapphires, presumably.
Mm-hmm. As with all things that can see the future, they are very rare.
Rubies, on the other hand, very common.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Just
weak,
a
small soldiers,
common
not
soldiers.
like amethysts.
Yeah. Amethyst you need one of, and they'll do the job. Rubies you have a bunch of, and then together they do the job.
Exactly. I don't know if this is the first time we see that rubies are sort of common, and there are lots of them, and they fuse. I don't know.
I don't think we've seen it before, because I don't think we've seen another ruby before.
Ah,
So I think it must be.
I guess that's true. We haven't met Eyeball and
No, we've not
Naval.
met them yet.
No. Okay. So maybe this is the first we know of rubies being common.
Indeed. But yeah, it does, just to jump back, it is an interesting trope, I find, that things that can see into the future, by all accounts, should be really common. Obviously, gems is a different story because they don't produce and all that kind of stuff. But like things with the ability to see the future should be able to see the future and then do what they need to survive and go on and have kids and such. So by all means, logically, should be quite common, but are almost always incredibly rare.
Hmm.
So just
True.
a random thought there, but we've not got enough time for random thoughts with this episode. So
Presumably, lots of
Mhm.
different. Every court has its own set of sapphires.
That's what I'd reckon.
Because you can get sapphires of all the colours, or many colours at least.
You can, can't you? Yeah.
So maybe there's
I
like
always forget about that with sapphires.
they've got like a bunch of sapphire. Yellow's got a yellow sapphire, and white's got a white sapphire, and who knows?
Because I mean, we do meet a off-color sapphire, don't
Paparacha,
we? Paparacha. But that's
which is
different
sort
to
of
just being a yellow
orangey.
sapphire. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's
We
like,
meet.
could she have been one of Yellow's, sapphire equivalents of Paparacha? Because she still seems
Maybe.
aristocratic with like her looks and everything, how she's dressed.
Yeah.
But she, did not do her job, unfortunately, because she's a bit late. with her telling the future.
A little bit.
Interesting. We'll get to them when we get to them. That's still a while away. But we go back to the rubies, and they're being like, the classic young soldiers going off to war.
Yeah, they're very sort of one-dimensional, just sort of like, yeah, it's gonna punch. Ooh.
We're gonna punch the rebels in their faces and take them out. We've never seen combat before and are gonna get destroyed immediately.
And then the actual ruby that we know and love is like a little more reasonable. And then one of them punches her and knocks her back into Sapphire.
Indeed.
Which is like, ooh. Big ol' whoopsie. Exactly, yeah. It's a whoops. But the Sapphire obviously knows that it was going to happen because it's future vision. Ruby's very awkward around Sapphire. Just, I'm sure there's nothing of that though.
No.
I'm sure that's just completely fine and normal.
Yeah, something like that, I imagine.
Indeed. The Sapphire walks up to Blue Diamond, who is also there.
Indeed.
She says,
"Is this the first time
well,
we've seen
the
Blue?
future. It may be, actually. We don't quite see all of Blue yet.
No, not yet.
It's we just sort of see the menacing silhouette.
Menacing silhouette, yeah.
Sapphire foresees that the crystal gems will attack, destroying, or I guess that's what they call poofing, formally. It's destroying the form of 2 rubies, 7 gems, and the Sapphire. And then they'll be captured, and the rebellion will end. But that's not what happens.
No.
Garnet mentions how Sapphire knows exactly how her entire life is going to go, and it doesn't matter. So that's why she's so sort of nonchalant about everything. Did I get another?
You did.
Oh my gosh! Who is this?
So, interestingly, we do see Blue Diamond's Pearl. You're back.
Dan?
Oh, it's Dan. Wow, of course it's Dan. We should have expected this. So we do see Blue Diamond's Pearl in the flesh. We will come to see more of later, and is maybe one of Dan's favorite characters, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, we only see the silhouette of a yellow diamond. Blue diamond. Damn it, we don't see yellow diamond at all here. And she had some much larger silhouette guards who are probably either amethysts or topazes or something. They call this the Cloud Arena as well, which I'm not sure if it's the same arena as we have in Sworn to the Sword, or if that's a different arena. But it is definitely, a similar design like we expected at the start. So, Blue Diamond's also in a kind of palanquin, which again we will see down the line in the series.
Oh my gosh!
Who was it that time?
Dan!
Amazing.
Who I guess forgot that we were Cabincasting.
Indeed. Was he calling about anything important?
About whether titles are included in the word count. Which
Amazing.
I'm sure you could Google.
Yes. Definitely. Well, thank you, Dan, for your... This has happened before, I swear. So,
yeah, indeed.
I did keep rambling successfully.
Good.
I talked about how we can actually see Blue Diamond's Pearl properly, not just like a silhouette, which is interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she's on a
Nice.
palanquin. Like we will see the palanquin later, and they call it the
Indeed.
Cloud Arena. Which I'm not sure if the one we're later is Cloud Arena, but it's definitely a similar thing, if nothing else. But yeah, the rebellion ends here, according to Sapphire's
Yeah.
predictions. But it does kind of also confuse me when they talk about casualties because it's like, is that how they see poofing? Because you're not dead. So does that you're not really a casualty?
True. That's a. I guess. Do injuries count as casualties? I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Odd. Don't know why they phrased it that way.
Yeah.
Sapphire talks to Ruby, which is nice. Sapphire's a little more sort of respectful of the so-called lower gems.
Mm-hmm.
And she just it's like sort of idle chat. Wish I could have seen more of this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Ruby says there's still time.
Yeah.
But Sapphire knows that she will never see it again.
Yeah.
And then, right on cue, the rebels appear.
Mm-hmm. All two of them at the moment.
All two. They don't have quite an army just yet.
No.
So they're not very not very menacing, but I mean, maybe they should have been more scared of them because it turns out they like obliterate a bunch of them.
Of course, yeah. I mean, when they say we are the crystal gems and it's Pearl and Rose is like super cool to hear them say it.
Yeah.
Heard them like, we've never heard Rose Quartz say it, I don't think before.
Plus, it's like the intro where Steven
Yeah.
says "we" and then the rest of them join in.
Yeah. It's very cool. The music works as well. That moment gets me.
It's good.
And how it like does the pan
The
down of
diamond
them and
just
then the
leaves.
side thingy. Yeah. Then the palanquin leaves.
Yeah, it's just like nope, I'm out of here.
Out of there.
And
And
we get some cool fighting.
we get some Steven Universe fighting.
Yes.
Which is, yeah, I don't know. Pearl is very cool in it. It is a lot of Pearl moving through the air, slashes on black background. Enemies have been poofed.
Yes.
I guess Pearl did that and not the sky.
Yeah. Well, when you don't have the budget or the time,
No,
that's
exactly.
what you do. Like they had more for Jailbreak, which is why
Yeah.
the entire Garnet Jasper fight is animated.
Oh, for sure. It's exactly why. And it is it's the same with when Rose fights the rubies, it's just like I guess she punched them or something.
Oh yeah, it's
And
like
now
that
they've
sort
been
of
unfused.
anime trope where he's like, he
Yeah,
moves his sword
exactly.
slightly and then everyone explodes.
Yeah. But what is interesting about the rubies is obviously this is the first time that we see fusion that is just for combat.
Mm.
And it is still, they're all still clearly very psyched up
Yeah.
and used to working as a team, but that's all it is. There's no like passion or like
No,
love, I suppose, or care put into it at all. So it's quite different.
it's not a love fusion.
Indeed.
And also, since it's the fusions of the same gem,
They just are bigger now.
yes, there's no new limbs.
No new limbs or anything. But yeah,
What
that doesn't
place?
help. The amethyst jaspers didn't do anything either.
They really didn't, did they?
Which again, kind of on the heels of last episode. Kind of a little bit annoying, but there we go. Again,
Yeah,
that's not
they
the plot
decided
of
to
this
bring
episode.
rubies.
Yeah, it's like she had 3 ruby guards, which combined to make a bigger thing. Also, there's like either amethysts or jaspers or whatever, which are supposed to be pretty powerful. I guess Pearl got depowered over the years as well, because Jasper completely obliterates all of the crystal gems itself. So let's not.
No
Yeah,
longer the terrifying renegade Pearl.
I mean, it's true. It's true. But yeah. Sapphire's
But
like, no,
yeah,
you did your best. Um,
Sapphire accepts it.
yeah.
But as Garnet says, Ruby could not accept it
Ruby cannot
because
accept it. Also, it's a really like again kind of patronizing thing to say. It's like, well, you did your best. I knew you were gonna fail. But, you know, you tried. So,
Aw.
but yeah. So she's like, screw you. I'm gonna push you instead. But no, that's not what she's doing. She saves her, and they fuse by
Exactly.
accident.
Very, very confused about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Not even
got
I know how it happened.
2 gems,
She does.
but
They're
she's
both red,
1 gem.
but she's 1 gem.
And even Rose Quartz and Pearl are shocked and confused.
Pearl's shocked for a second and is like, I will kill them anyway.
She's shocked and she's like, "Oh, wait a second. We're supposed to be fighting, aren't we? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
crud. Let's go."
But then, well, she is still about to attack them. But then Rose is like, no, that's something different. Let's leave instead.
Exactly.
And so they leave. And
The
it's more the
rebellion does
Pearl that
not end here.
yeah, and it's more the Pearl we know who says bye. And yeah, we get, I don't know, Candy Floss Garnet.
I think
I
that's
feel
the
like
name.
that's the thing. Which yeah, the hair is kind of more Candy Floss-esque. And it's a very cool design. It's not quite as badass as the later one. It's more
It is. It's very cool. It's sort of symbol like it's a bit of a mishmash.
Yeah.
Because they haven't understood their own form because they haven't yet seen themselves as a unity, as a single.
They didn't
being.
really expect this to happen.
Exactly.
But it happened anyway.
It's such a good design though, because it's got because Sapphire wears a dress, Ruby wears like a skin tight suit, and so it's sort of like the suit has gone underneath, and then there's like the remnants of a sort of tattered dress beneath or something. Yeah, it's very good.
Mm-hmm.
And the hair is half red and half blue. Basically, it's good, but they defuse very quickly.
They defuse because, again, they're in shock and they don't know what's happening. And so then everyone does what they always do when they see something new, which is be angry.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, gems of different types apparently don't fuse. That's not a thing. It's just a thing rubies do, really, I guess.
It's true. Just rubies and topazes.
Topazes, yeah, you're right.
The rest of the gems, the crowd are like, "Oh, I can't believe this. This is disgusting.
It's terrible. It's unheard of."
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Which is, well, that's gems.
Yep.
And Blue Diamond's back. And,
she is.
Yeah, but
it's
this
Garnet's
voice.
It is Garnet's voice.
It's not Blue Diamond's voice actor.
No. Which is a good way because we very almost see Blue Diamond, Like everyone else is a silhouette apart from Blue Diamond and her Pearl. But Blue Diamond is still kind of obscured by her hood and everything. But because we
Exactly.
still have Garnet's voice, it still has some mystery until we finally see Blue Diamond in season 3, I think. 3 or 4.
I think so. I don't actually know.
See Yellow Diamond first at the end of this season.
Indeed, we do.
Yeah, one of those.
Very soon.
Yeah. So Sapphire's like, well, this is not what I saw happening. Because Blue Diamond's a bit upset that the rebellion did not end here.
Ruby knows that such a crime is punishable and wants to, and says, "It was me," instead of trying to save Sapphire.
No. And now you shall be destroyed. Also, the palanquin's just straight up floating here. It's got no legs anymore.
Oh yeah,
So
it does. Does it do that? It goes whoosh.
It makes a sound like it's got legs that are walking, but then the shot doesn't.
Huh.
So I don't know. They run for it.
They do. Although it's Ruby was sort of a little more accepting of her fate, but Sapphire was just like, "Nah, we're going. This is something new. This is not what I saw. This is a future which is so completely different to what I knew.
Yeah.
Let's make the most of it." And then she takes Ruby and runs off and jumps off the thingy.
And then later, I think, sings a song about what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ruby's like, but why did you do it? And Sapphire's like, well, because they were going to break you and, you'd save me and stuff. But Ruby's like, but there's loads of me. That doesn't matter. It's sad.
Doesn't see herself as an individual just yet.
Nope.
Sapphire, as Garnet says, had once known everything and now is frozen, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Sort of analysis paralysis. Didn't know what she was going to do. She's always known what she was going to do, but now she's not. Ooh.
Yeah.
Gyark left.
Gyark left. He does that. But yeah, Ruby gets Sapphire out of there, and they go into a cave, and then Ruby, Sapphire shows Ruby her eye, and I don't know, you could definitely make some slightly more adult takeaways from the fact that she sets fire to the ground. But then they set a fire, because I don't know, gems get cold or something.
I guess so.
Ruby just keeps thinking about when they were a fusion.
Yeah. Ruby's blaming herself that they're stranded and is wondering how she's going to save Sapphire. And Sapphire says, "You already did," which is true. And now they talk about what fusion might be like.
Yeah. And that they'd seen it before, but they'd never really known what it was like, and how Ruby's never had a third eye and she's never had more than one.
Yeah. That's like alien flirting.
Yeah, it's like another common thing, it's like people are scared of what they don't know or don't understand.
Exactly.
And that's why, Peridot doesn't like the idea of fusing, and why it really upsets me that Peridot never fuses with anyone at any point in the show. But anyway,
I actually like it.
I mean, I do kind
That's
of understand it, but
it's
it does
like like asexual representation, you know? Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
yeah, okay, sure. I mean, there's plenty of gems that don't fuse in the show, so you've got plenty of that, I guess, if you look at it that way.
Yeah, but Paradox sort of doesn't want to. She's like open to it, and then she goes, "No, I'm out." That's later though. So
I may have forgotten that point then. And this should just mean the end of season 2.
yeah, near the end,
Ooh,
at the
yeah,
Percy
okay.
and Pierre bit.
Yeah.
I'll get to that. I
Yeah,
guess.
I'm not sure I agree, but yeah, we'll get to that. That's a discussion for another day. And we get a song first.
We do. We get a great song.
It's a very good song.
It's like how a relationship, or in this case, a fusion, is sort of greater than the sum of its parts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I do really like how the sort of is part of the lyrics. I love it. It's so good.
It's very Steven Universe. Very very Steven Universe / Adventure Time, which does make sense considering Rebecca Sugar worked on both of them. And I think probably some other people who worked on Adventure Time worked on Steven Universe. Because that makes sense, because they both came out at the same kind of time and are kind of similar, but they both have when you just kind of put discussion into the singing and word just like talking, but it's kind of like sung, but it's not properly sung necessarily. Yeah, it's cool.
It is. It's very cool.
It's,
and then
it's
just
it's very quiet. And things don't always rhyme necessarily because of that, but it doesn't really matter because it still works. And yeah, they're just talking about how
I
it's
love that
different and
style.
everything. Yeah. When I first heard it years ago, I was like, well, this is really strange, but it just took a bit getting used to. And now I really quite enjoy it. Same with when I did poetry and so used to poems rhyming, and then sometimes there's poems they just don't. Well, this is strange. But then sometimes they're really good poems.
A little bit.
The rhyming doesn't actually matter.
You know, I gotta do this. I gotta bring it back around to it. Do you think there's some gay? Because it's where Sapphire's like, did you say I was different? Where it's like Ruby had only fused with other rubies. She'd only done what was expected, and then now she's trying out something different. It's like, ooh. And none of them.
I had not thought of it that way, but absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
The gay.
Yeah. And I mean, and I'm sure you could take it as an analogy further for just even within even within heterosexual relationships, there are still norms and kind of people who people will expect you to kind of go out with, and people where they're like, why would you? That doesn't make sense. What would you see in that person? But same principle applies. But it might be just
the Ruby fusion, right? Wasn't a couple. Wasn't like a couple out of love, and so Ruby describes it as just her but bigger. But for Sapphire and Ruby together, it's something entirely new. It's something greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly. Which is what.
And I love that little the last chord right at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me chills every time. It's the
Yeah.
hmm,
We get the
right at the end.
the
Such
humming
good
from
because it's Sapphire's song.
yeah. What's the song?
Stronger Than You.
Stronger Than You. Yeah. Another great song from Garnet. Is it Here Comes a Thought? Not quite, but it's pretty great.
That's your favorite, presumably?
I think that's my favorite Garnet song. Yeah. I think.
That's fair.
But she falls after doing some walking as a fusion.
Yeah.
And
But then we see Pearl. Dun,
we
dun,
do.
dun.
And Rose.
Garnet doesn't know who to refer to.
No, it's really cool.
But Rose appears.
Yeah.
And he's like, whoa. Doing very Rose things of being like, wow, this is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because Garnet asks, like, whether she upsets Rose by existing.
Yeah.
And Rose doesn't say no, but she says, who cares about how I feel?
Yeah.
Which is telling, but at the same time is good. Because there may be something that's like, there may be something you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Like maybe you've never seen a relationship outside of the norms of your own society before in your life.
For sure.
How you feel about it in that one moment, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe you don't need to say anything.
It's true. Yeah,
maybe you can just how you feel, to learn from the other person.
Yeah. Like like if you've got a friend who's in a new relationship and they introduce you to their partner, and they might not necessarily be who you expect or something, you just be happy for them in that
You don't have to
moment.
tell them how you feel if you feel bad, if you feel uncomfortable, unless it's like they're actually being abusive. Then that's a whole different kettle of fish.
I mean, like, there's definitely situations where, down the line, you might need to say something, but
not right at the beginning.
Not right at the very first second.
Because that's judging based on appearance.
It is, and that's 9.9 times out of 10. Not great.
And in this case, welcome to Earth. There are no rules, except for the rules, which are the laws of thermodynamics.
Yep.
Where fate can be altered, because,
indeed,
as Garnet says, how was really able to alter fate?
Yeah.
Rose says not to question it, which is true. Shouldn't be held up on those questions and should just accept them for who they are. But also, maybe something should be quite at least slightly skeptical of it.
Just like keep an eye on that. We'll
Rose,
come back to it later. Yeah.
Like rose quartz.
Yep.
Maybe that's something to be questioning of.
But of course, the answer was love.
The answer was love. The answer was Garnet. Garnet is the answer.
And Garnet
What's
is the
2
answer.
plus 2? The answer is Garnet.
And that's where we end this episode and end this episode, I guess.
Wait. Oh yeah. Episode. Man, that was clever.
Yeah, it was an accident, but thank you. But yeah, no, it's a great one. It's a great song. We don't get too many songs in season 2, so it's nice to have another
But
one here.
some of the best
Last
ones.
season 2, and they are all very good. Yeah, no, this one is definitely up there. And it's definitely one of my favorite like talk singing songs.
Yeah,
Just in
this
general.
is one of the better songs, just out of all of them to me.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that is where we will leave it. 4 episodes left. In season 2.
Season 2.
Probably 2 episodes for us, but who knows?
Maybe
3. But until then, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
ta-ra!
Thank you for listening to this episode of Cabincast. For more episodes, go to www.cabincast.podbean.com or use the Podbean app. You can now also find us on iTunes and Pocket Casts under Cabincast and on YouTube. The uploads here are quite behind. Finally, you can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Cabincast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.